I would like to call the July 14th meeting of the Urbana Human Relations Commission to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Robinson Schaefer.
Here.
Commissioner Rigberg.
Yes, here.
Commissioner Resnick.
Here.
Okay, we do not have a quorum tonight, so we cannot approve any business, but we can discuss things. So public participation, seeing none. Unfinished business, notice for those seeking to rent. I just, I'm going to keep it very simple here. Pursuant to Section 12107 of the Human Rights Ordinance, we've developed a notice for use by Urbana landlords and employers, including the City of Urbana, that states the anti-discrimination protections for job and housing applicants. The notice is to be posted where both applicants and landlords and employers can see it, such as offices and websites that take applications. This would be similar to the FMLA notice by the federal government and the ADA notice of the city. I have not received any feedback yet from the city on this notice, but I'm sharing it here for feedback from the commission and perhaps, well, we can't have approval tonight, but I'd like anybody's feedback on this. Pete?
I'll simply say this looks like exactly what we need to have posted. I know in the past, we've done it by sending out posters for folks to post. I don't know that that's strictly necessary anymore, given that people can download a PDF from anywhere and print it themselves. But if we're going to do that, we probably should have instructions on how big it needs to be. And we should probably be able to print up some of them within budget, on decent card stock to give out to people who don't want to print it themselves.
Yes.
But I think when this comes for approval, I see no problem with it. And, yeah.
Okay, I tried to make it somewhat generic so we wouldn't have to print various things, but I did not include general public accommodations because that's a much bigger job, and we can see how this goes. And if it is required by the ordinance, but also like to see if it helps to reduce instances of discrimination.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, and this is more of a formatting question. Can we dictate it has to be a certain font size? Because this to me is still too small. Like if this was on somebody's wall behind a desk, I'd never see it.
That's a good point. And I was looking today at the FMLA and ADA notices, and they are much more bold than this. So I would be happy to play with that. I'd still like to see it on one page, but
Yes, yes, I agree. I feel like the City of Urbana logo could be a little bit smaller and the
Yes.
font could be much larger and is it the position or can the commission state where it needs to be posted, as in it shouldn't be behind a desk that somebody has to walk behind to get to, because I want to make sure it's easily accessible to somebody who's sitting in an office, like a landlord office.
yes, and that would apply also in a website. Is the link obvious? And another thing that I was considering was they might want to require that it's attached to the application itself.
Agreed.
Can we do that?
So the ordinance section on this is every person subject to this article shall post and keep in a conspicuous location where business or activity is customarily conducted or negotiated, a notice provided by the City of Urbana whose form and language shall have been prepared by the officer setting forth excerpts from or summaries of the pertinent provisions of this article and information pertinent to the filing of a complaint. So the form and language we provide to them, and it doesn't say that we can't make specific, I mean, the notice is going to be prepared so we can make the notice of a particular font size or of a particular size,
And even location.
and, yeah,
That's my concern. I don't want it down here behind a desk.
right.
I want it up front where they
Yes.
have at least notice of what their rights are. Because there are many people that may not be aware or know where to contact.
Most people are not aware.
Right, right.
So, I think Julie brings up a good point, and maybe what we want to do is in the title, instead of just know your rights, use the word discrimination in that headline, in some way. You may not be discriminating, in whatever language, so that that is really bold, and then, yes, this should be large enough for someone to read if they at least go up to it within reasonable distance, but not just know your rights, but something more specific.
Okay. We could also, it takes a lot of energy to test for renting, but it doesn't take so much to pop in and see whether these things are posted. So that's all good feedback. Thank you very much. This format was just something that PowerPoint provided, and I thought it was pretty.
It is.
But I think that we can do better, and especially after looking at some of these other things that are designed in the same spirit.
And my other feedback would be the email and website making a different color font, because I think that's
Okay.
where a lot of people would go to first versus calling the city.
Mm-hmm.
So making it very clear where they can contact somebody just in the day.
The
and
whole,
ages.
the whole block, or?
Well, just the email and website lines. Maybe make the email and website, blue or something so that
Red,
those stand
yeah.
out.
Right, okay, great. Okay, thank you all, thanks very much. Relatedly, I'd like to tell people that we have been contacted by an organization that reached out to us called the Fortune Society. It's a New York organization dedicated to researching alternatives to incarceration and to assisting people with reentry after prison. And they reach out to us as an ally in this area, and I think that's a good sign and very promising connection for us to have. They have a website if you'd like to check them out, and you can actually sign up to receive their emails and so forth. It's an impressive organization. Okay. I guess we can't go to closed session, so we will have to put off our security procedures to our next meeting, as well as something else that didn't get on the agenda quite, which is the renaming of our commission, which I think I would also like to see next time. So we can move on to discussion of EEO workforce statistics. Elizabeth.
Okay. You should have, I believe, 5 new applications for certification. The first one is W.S. Darley and Company. They are not looking for any specific purchase or any business specifically, but I think they want to just get certified to be on the list for future business. So we can't vote on it or anything, but do we want to go over if you want to take a moment and look at the statistics?
It doesn't look like anybody's doing great things with their diversity
Yeah.
in this group.
I was hoping to be able to reach out to some of them and work through that process of getting a statement of
Yeah.
affirming some steps.
Are any of these currently approved?
Springfield Electric is a renewal. Davincia, they are new, and Timeco is new, and Stryker is the one from last time. And we
Yes.
went back and tried to get more information on the company. It is an international company, and the previous data was based on different numberings or different calculations, and so we've been working with them to try to correct that. And they've been really good about responding to us, getting us information, and if they didn't have the person we were contacted, if they didn't have the information, they would move it up the chain until we got to the person who could actually certify the numbers for us. And they were able to do that, but many of the companies that are already certified, they fall under the umbrella of Stryker. And so we wanted to get Stryker certified so that all the others are under the umbrella. That's why their numbers seem a bit high for the area, is they are an international company. So from A to Z, they're all over the world.
So with regard to Stryker, I see that we got it looks like their yearly presentation with regard to.
That was their annual report,
Right.
and
Do we have copies of their actual equal opportunity and affirmative action
state,
policies? Or
that was what they sent, but I can ask them for
since we
the
now-
actual policy.
Since we don't have the quorum and we now have at least a little time.
I can ask
to-
for that.
That would be great. I expect they have an elaborate one, but just to dot i's and cross t's, it would be nice to have it on file.
And it looked like, when I read through that, it looked like it was in there, in some of the narrative, but I wasn't sure if it was the actual, you want the actual policy out of it.
They're supposed to provide it anyway.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it would be good to make sure that they provide it to us.
I will.
But yeah, it had a lot of the information we would expect to find in there.
Okay, I'll get the actual policy.
It wasn't included in last month.
I don't think so
packet. Okay.
either.
No.
Okay.
One thing I did notice, and now I've got to find the particular company. As I was reading through, one of them claimed they had an affirmative action policy that could be provided to be observed at their place of business, which I don't buy as completely acceptable. Let me figure out which one it was.
Was it,
Okay, so it's this one, whichever this one is.
is it,
Springfield Electric. The affirmative action plan is available for examination in the Corporate Human Resources Department during regular business hours. I think we would want them to actually send us a copy of it. I don't think it's reasonable to send
I
you
agree.
over to Springfield Electric
Yeah.
to observe their policy.
Good point. Okay, so,
so that would not be the equal employment opportunity and affirmative action?
So they have
They have that.
they have an EEO statement, but at the end of their statement, if you go all the
Oh.
way to the bottom,
Okay, it's
when it gets to
available.
the affirmative action stuff, it says, that's on file.
Okay,
Um,
so I will make sure to ask them for that.
are they supposed to give us their plan, not just their policy?
There, either one would be sufficient.
Okay.
We have neither.
Well, there is a, where is it? Oh,
Yeah. Read the last paragraph of that.
yeah. Yes.
So it doesn't say, it says lots of things about equal opportunity. It says nothing about affirmative action in the rest of the document.
That's true. Okay. All right. So we still have a problem of needing to approve something that we cannot approve because of a lack of a quorum.
So I think, because it sounds like at least one of these is time sensitive, if you all can contact the commissioners and see if we can arrange for a special meeting, which should take no more than 5 minutes if this is, well, can always take longer than
We have a certain amount
that.
of overhead through any meeting, but
Yes.
it could take 15 minutes.
Yeah, but a short special meeting within the next week and see if we can contact the vendor that is in fact time sensitive and see if that's going to be satisfactory with them. Because I don't know what else to do, given our policies and the ordinance.
Right, and that would require 48 hours' notice, so the earliest that could happen would be Friday evening.
And I don't expect you're going to be able to do it this evening anyway, so to send the notice off this
Right,
evening. So
yeah.
it's going to be tomorrow, which means Saturday at the earliest, which no one's going to be thrilled about, but Monday, seems like a more plausible thing. And we don't need to do it in chambers. We don't need to do it with cameras. We can do it with an audio recording only up in the conference room. We've done that in the past. If it's just for this one item, I think that'll be fine. It'll be noticed and it will be open to the public. And we'll just have to figure out, with the COVID protocols for the building, how we're gonna accomplish that. But yeah, it can be any old time that everybody's available to do it for 15 minutes or whatever it is.
So do you think we can get away with doing this on Monday?
So I think partly that's up to the vendor. They've told us there's a deadline to place this order, and so they're looking for commitment. They're looking for a signed purchase order.
Yeah.
And they're looking for that, I believe, by the close of business on Friday. And, the only other option I can think of is whether we can, everything else is lined up. We have the funding, the budget is good, everything is good. So, I'm wondering if we could possibly issue them a purchase order, but make it clear that it's subject to this approval. Perhaps that would kind of thread the needle and it would satisfy them that that the order's placed, but it would still be contingent on the action of the HRC to approve them.
Yes, Pete?
So if you take a look at the way the ordinance is written, at section 2119, it requires our approval, but our disapproval, our decertification of it becomes a breach of contract, right? So assuming you put in the purchase order, you could then retroactively say, oops, it turns out that we find that you're in breach. So simply making them aware of the fact that the commission is going to review the contract and could theoretically come back and say no, but give them fair warning that I don't believe the commission has yet said no, but has usually said, we'd like to see some more information, or we'd like to see some plan that you have for the future.
Right, a better
that-
effort.
To improve the thing, that
Right.
the idea that we would call it a breach immediately is pretty near nil.
Maybe a question for my comfort. The three of you have seen the information from this particular vendor. I think they
Yes.
provided a complete response. They gave us everything that was required, and I know that you can't make a decision tonight, but is anybody uncomfortable with what they're seeing or thinking that this may not be approved? And I know you can't say what will happen, but.
Right.
I can say for myself, looking at the application, this is the sort of thing we would normally do a 6-month or 1-year approval for, give them a notice that says, hey, we're not terribly happy with the numbers, but we would like to see you improve them and send us some more information about how you're gonna do that. But I don't see us, from my perspective, I would not vote for we would consider this a no.
I think that's a safe bet.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I think we're agreeing that that's
Okay.
probably the best way to kind of thread the needle and avoid this
Yeah.
price increase that is tens of thousands of dollars and
Yes.
still comply.
Yes, thank you for suggesting that. Okay.
Are there any other questions on any of the others?
Anyone?
There was one other, and now I have to go back and find it. We ask a question, do you have an EEO statement? And one of them said no, which usually means that they will agree to the one we provide with the application. Do we know if they returned it? Now I gotta figure out which one it was.
Which one was that?
Yeah.
Everybody returned something.
This guy's-
But I happened to.
It's
thumb through
Stryker.
it. It's Stryker?
Stryker.
So Stryker doesn't have, oh, no, that's in, and so, yes, when we approach Stryker, asking them if they have a written EEO and affirmative action and harassment policy, did they say? They have a written harassment policy, they don't have an EEO plan or statement, at least according to what they've checked. So asking them the question, do they actually have a written policy for equal opportunity or affirmative action? And if no, are they making an explicit statement that they're agreeing with the one we enclosed?
Okay.
Would probably be a good thing. Again, since we have the time.
I have a question on Davincia, because they said there's a written policy on sexual harassment, and I'm not seeing it. Unless the last line of the paragraph under equal employment opportunity is what they consider.
Possibly.
And this policy includes the commitment to maintaining a work environment based on inclusion and free from unlawful harassment. So I would want more information on
Okay.
them from that. And just curious what they're pursuing with the city when, I mean, they look small.
It's the closed captioning, oops, excuse me, closed captioning for the
Okay.
meetings, for the
Okay.
TV.
And given how small they are, our general policy has been to just
Yeah.
grant them approval for the numbers, but actually making sure that their policies are in place and correct is probably a good thing nonetheless.
Yes.
And that's the sexual harassment policy, you want that?
Mhm.
Okay, got that.
Is there any more discussion or any more questions regarding EEO certification? Again, we cannot elect officers due to lack of quorum. We'll put that off until next time. Hopefully, we'll have a robust meeting and we can do all these good things.
I do have a question. Would you
Yes.
like all this information by the Monday meeting, or?
It
Oh.
depends on, if we're gonna have that Monday meeting, are we simply going to approve
Just the,
Timco, or are there any others that are time sensitive?
okay, I believe Davincia is.
Is time
So
sensitive?
I will,
So it would probably be worth the question,
okay, I will try to get all that.
yeah.
They've been pretty good about
Okay.
responding.
But if you decide that all we really need to do is those two and the rest of them we can put off, feel free, I think, to do so.
Okay.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. Are there any other announcements?
Officers report.
Oh, I didn't see, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Carla, see, I'm not used to you being here.
It's
and I
totally-
want to be.
It's okay.
Oh.
We vacillated on whether we should put that on there or not.
Oh,
Because
please.
we found some that did and some that did.
Okay, yes, please.
Okay. There are no closed cases. Informal complaint inquiries, we've had one for public accommodations, for refusal to deliver food. So I've been working with that complainant to try to get more formalized information and follow up with that. And then I had one today, or no, not this one, there was one for housing. And it was initially submitted to the Champaign office, and they forwarded it over to us, and I've reached out to that complainant also. I have not had a response from them to date. And I will just keep following up when I don't hear from them. We have one formal complaint, which was taken this afternoon, and this was for Section 8 acceptance. There was a lot of questions that I had, and so I took all of the information, and I'm going to get those answers to those questions. I've reviewed the ordinance, so some of those questions were answered for me, and I'm going to reach out to the complainant tomorrow to follow up with what I've found and how to move forward in the next process. Community activity, been a little busy. I did attend the Juneteenth celebration in the park. They had a Black Business Expo, and so I visited all of the booths and introduced myself and gave them my information. I did meet with representatives from Parkland College with the mayor and the city administrator. We talked about their SWIFT program. A lot of really good information from them about that program. Met with representatives of a community partnership to discuss ideas on developing a response to violence program. They wanted to talk to myself. They wanted to talk to the mayor, and she invited me and the community outreach coordinator, Lamont Peppers, to join her for that meeting. And it was a meeting of ideas and what they would like to hopefully see the city do or help them with. Reached out to make formal introductions to different community members to develop a working network. I've taken a lot of lunches. That's been the good thing. But I've gotten to meet with people. We've had several Zoom meetings. I've attended a couple of Zoom meetings. And then I've been introduced electronically to other people, and I've reached out to those persons and introduced myself and trying to develop that relationship and meeting formally and try to see how we can partner, how I can help, how I can add value to anything that they may be doing in any collaboration. Completed the virtual International City County Management Associations, that's a long one, virtual conference, Moving the Needle, Advancing Racial Equity in Local Government Summit. That one was really good. I was able to get a lot of different ideas. I got a deeper understanding of city government and the equity things that are going on around the country, around the world. And so I have some good ideas and some good, some information that I'm going to hopefully bring to pass and maybe develop. I also shared that with the community outreach coordinator for him to have an opportunity to look at those also. I did attend the Silver Hearts neighborhood group meeting, scheduled individual meetings with members there, and I've gotten to talk with them, the members that work at the Park District, and do some of the activities that they do. I'm going to be participating. I'm just going to go as a participant to just, experience. And if they put me to work, they put me to work. I'm totally okay with that. Completed taser training, police taser training. That was interesting. And I'm currently researching training opportunities for myself and for the community outreach coordinator so that we can get more training specifically on the commissions that we're working on, and he's been working with me with the Human Relations Commission in Tamara's absence. And so I wanted to just get us more training so that we felt comfortable in the roles that we were doing. And looking for affinity groups. And that's all that I have.
Any questions? Pete?
I know your current list is long of things that have yet to be done. Do you have anything on the state of sending out that letter to landlords regarding criminal conviction? And do you need my help in getting that done quicker?
I need your help in the letter.
Good.
But I have gotten the list of landlords that we were hoping to have, so I have that ready to go. I did speak with the Community Development Department. They were able to help, facilitate that in me getting the list. And they are sending out a mass mailing, I believe, in October, and they wanted to just coordinate so that we weren't
Right.
doubling up and giving too much.
And so there were two parts to it. One was the mass mailing to all landlords saying you can't discriminate on the basis of criminal conviction
And then the
or
one
or
for
arrest
the-
record. And then there was the ones who have it on their application that we know.
Yes.
So, okay, I will contact you and I'll hopefully help you get the ball rolling faster.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'm already used to having an officer, and I like it. I think it's great. Thank you for all the wonderful things you've done in so short a time. And if there are no more announcements, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming.